Namaskar, hello and welcome viewers. You're watching this special presentation of Sansad TV, Bills and Acts, where we analyze bills that impact you, acts that empower you, and programs that matter to you. I'm your host Kriti Mishra, and today the spotlight is on the new taxation regime announced in the Union Budget this year. Before the analysis, let's take a look at the highlights. Income up to 7 lakh rupees would now be tax-free versus the earlier threshold of 5 lakh. Finance Minister changed the tax structure in the new regime by reducing the number of slabs to 5 and increasing the tax exemption limit to 3 lakh. For pensioners, the Finance Minister announced extending the benefit of standard deduction to new tax regime. On the tax front, the proposals laid down by the Finance Minister aimed at maintaining continuity and stability of the tax regime and rationalization of tax proportions. The introduction of new slabs with fewer tax rates under the new tax regime, as well as the announcement of introducing a single simplified common income tax return form in the future, shows the government's objective to simplify the income tax for the common people. And for further clarification on the tax proposals, I'm joined by a very eminent group of panelists. Joining us in the studio, Dr. Debashis Mitra, President, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. We also have with us Mr. Abhishek Atrey, Senior Corporate Lawyer, Supreme Court of India. Also in the studio with us, young and vibrant audience. I welcome all of you to Sansad TV and thank you so much for joining us. And Dr. Mitra, let me begin the program with you. First of all, let's talk about the individual taxpayers. This year's budget and the tax proposals. What do they mean for me as an individual taxpayer?
It means, first of all, you see, things are more simplified. That is what is happening. It also means that the number of tax slabs, as you have just said, is been reduced to 5. It also means that the basic exemption limit, which was 2.5, has been enhanced to 3. So you might, and it also means that, the deductions that were there earlier, there were 70 deductions, making life a bit complicated. It also means that those deductions now go in the new tax regime and they're giving you a rebate of 7 lakhs, which means that, you see, it will simplify things. And if you have a situation where the deductions that you have claimed earlier was less than about 3,75,000, and if you go for the new tax regime, you might end up paying lesser taxes.
Okay, so there's this constant comparison, Mr. Atrey, whether the last or the previous tax regime was better or the new one. So there's this constant analysis and a lot of people want to know that.
See, the old regime and new regime. The basic difference in old regime and new regime is, in new regime only 150,000 deduction is there and up to 7 lakh no tax is there. But slab is again there. Once your income reaches 7 lakh 1,000, you have to pay according to slab, up to 3 to 6 lakh 5%, 6 to 9 lakh 10%, etc. But in new regime, you cannot claim the deductions which were earlier under section 18 were there. Like when we purchase a policy or medical health, when or in so many schemes were there where we get claims and deductions. These claims and deductions are not available in new regime. Only in old regime, these deductions were there. So we have to calculate whether our investments are high and we are getting benefits of those investments. So, and by calculating both this, we have to opt that we have whether we have to go by old regime or we have to go by new regime. So right. It depends. If you have no investment, then new regime is better. And if you have investment sufficient, then old regime is better.
All right, I hope that clarification will work for our viewers. But Dr. Mitra, let's look at the broader picture. Geopolitical tumult, rising inflation, slowdown in demand. This budget this year is amid all the factors that we are seeing globally on the domestic front as well. What does this budget mean for the middle class income taxpayers in this country?
The budget means that, I would say, first of all, simplification. The budget also means, in certain situations, lower tax you pay for the middle class. The budget also means that for the salaried class, they were wanting to have the standard deduction extended to the new regime, 50,000 rupees. That the budget has done this time. So some benefit for the salaried class. As he had rightly stated, that you have to make a calculation and take a call which one suits you better.
Yeah.
If you have a lot of investments, for example, LIC and housing loan and things like this, then you have to make a calculation and find out whether the new regime suits me or the old regime suits you. Please note now the presumption is that from this year, that is from 23-24, you straight away opt for the new regime,
Right.
unless you decide to stick to the old one. And if you do stick to the old one, you have to form a separate, file a separate form to intimate the income tax department that you hope to stick to the old one. So I would say that this is a bit of a simplified budget, and if you plan things well, you might end up paying a bit less tax, the middle class.
All right, sir. So from one segment of the middle class, let's also talk about the HNIs, the high net worth individuals.
Right.
Let me also go to economic survey here. The economic survey says that animal spirits of private capex is at the threshold of being unleashed. We have the surcharge, which was perhaps the highest in the world, which has been reduced in this budget. So do you see crowding in of private investment after this?
I'm quite happy with this change, mind you. The surcharge has been reduced from 37% to, I believe, 25%.
That's right, sir.
That ensures that the effective tax rate comes down to about 39% from 42.74% earlier. Now, these are for all those high net worth individuals who are earning more than 5 crores. Now, there has been some amount of criticism that the budget is favoring them. But let me tell you, this change will have 2 or 3 impacts. Number one, these high net worth individuals, they're going to the corporates, you see, for their earnings. They're shifting the earnings to the corporates because the corporate taxes were a bit lesser than this. So they were shifting their earnings, number one. Many of them were going to the tax havens, etc., to take advantage. And then there was also a flight of capital. Many of them said, it's too high for me. Why stay here, go somewhere else, right? Now I believe that with this change, a lot of money will flow into the economy. And it will be, overall, it will have a positive impact on the economy. I welcome this change.
All right, the reputed CA is telling us the ripple effect on the economy. But Mr. Atrey, I have to address this question. All the rationalization and simplification that we're talking about, it's all about improving our taxation ratio to the GDP. Going ahead, how do you think that we may further improve this ratio?
Yeah, definitely. GDP growth rate is improving, as is clear from this budget. And like last year's, everything is improving. Deficit is going down. Our revenue receipts are increasing. Capital expenditure is increasing. Then when we spend in capital, you see, a lot of investment has to come. A lot of jobs, job market will open. So GDP will definitely increase. Like when you simplify the in tax slabs or tax fulfilling criteria and all these things, so more people will come forward to pay tax. Now in this regime, if some person don't have any investment, they simply by a single window and single form, they can use that and they themselves can fill. Otherwise, previously in old regime, you have to need a chartered accountant for filing your income tax return, but by adopting new regime, you don't need, because procedure is very simplified. They will not consider any of your claims regarding deductions or exemptions, etc. If you are coming, your income is coming in that slab, you pay directly.
Dr. Mitra, on a lighter note, bit of your business goes away.
No, not totally no. Let me totally no. Let me tell you.
People definitely.
Yes.
Let me tell you.
Yes.
The government has introduced faceless assessment earlier.
That's right.
You see, earlier the assessments were in person. It was, you see, faceless. It was a challenge for the profession to tackle with this faceless kind of a thing. We did it. We adapted ourselves to the change, and the profession has not suffered at all. So similarly, when he's saying that, you know, things have become more simplified, we welcome the simplification. And then, you see, anytime we believe that, you know, tax laws, despite all the simplifications that we do, are also an intricate piece of legislation.
Absolutely.
And you require expert help. And that is where the chartered accountants come up with all their expertise. And regarding technology, if you come to you see any of the offices of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, you will find words like artificial intelligence, blockchain, cyber security are very popular words in the corridors of the institute. So you see, we are not at all apprehensive of the stress on technology and simplification, and we welcome the simplification that has been done.
They will get more high network clients.
Oh, that's
but
right.
Their low network client will go.
And the fact that income up to 7 lakh.
Income will increase, but number of clients will reduce.
Absolutely. On that lighter note and a positive note, let's take some questions from our audience here. Please go ahead, introduce yourself and speak your mind.
As we are seeing that inflation is soaring very high. So how do you see the budget 2023 in that note?
So inflation is a big problem, sir.
Inflation.
It is. But look at, you see, India in comparison to other countries. Today, India is the president of G20, right? Presidency of G20. For example, we just had the World Cup. Argentina, look at the inflation there, maybe about 80% inflation. And look at the inflation in India. You see, I believe that we are tackling inflation well. And of course, there's still much to be done. But if you look at the relative scenario, it is, you see, we are tackling it well post-COVID. And number two, you see, with all these investments that is going to take place, for example, on infrastructure, we are investing about 33.44% more on infrastructure.
Capex, yes, sir.
Capex.
Yes,
So
sir.
all this, I believe, will push the growth of the country. And yes, you see, inflation has to be tamed, there is no doubt. But I don't think so it's a matter of great concern, considering what is happening all around the world.
As we were talking about the geopolitical
Yes,
situation.
yes.
Yeah. Let's take another question on that. Yes, please go ahead.
My question is that the tax slab that has increased from 5 lakh to 7 lakh, is it because of the upcoming like the elections? Is it having a political inclination somehow?
Mr. Atrey?
It may or may not be. Otherwise, if you compare from last year, every time certain increase is there in all the budgets. So, and by giving you this benefit, they want to allure you that you adopt this new regime. Therefore, this new regime is made by default. It's made a default regime. So you have to adopt it. And when we are
So a bit of clarity on default regime, please, for our viewers.
Default regime is when you click on there, first of all, you have to go by this new regime only. If you want to change it, if you want to assess yourself under old regime, you have to opt that, there is some procedure, you have to opt that one. Otherwise, by default, you will go on that page only.
All right. Point taken. Yes, sir.
And like inflation, one thing I just wanted to add, because rupee is falling at so speed. If we see this budget, Mr. Mitra might be agree with me, that borrowing and other liabilities are 34% in our expenses. And if we see the interest payment, it is 20% of our budget. So
Right.
these are the things which we have to consider how we cope with this. When we have to invite more infrastructure, more foreign companies, more investment here. This is a very good idea that from 42.5% by reducing surcharge, it is coming to 39%, but it need to be reduced much more.
As you're saying that we cannot
yes.
look at things in silos.
We need
There
much
has to
more
be a
investment.
macroeconomic picture.
Yes,
Absolutely.
As this new tax regime is kind of relief to common people by putting more money in their pockets, and it will also lead to more spendings, which will, as you said, that it will bring a positive impact in economy. It will help in GDP. So my question is it also affect savings of common people? And if it's yes, then is this a sustainable model for a long term?
So more consumption, saving, or the investment?
No, they are discouraging you to save.
So more of consumption.
Because previously, if we save, we used to invest in some policies, LIC, medical health, and so many other policies. And we get benefit. We got benefit on the home loan interest also. But all these benefits will be of no use in this new tax regime. So they want you don't save, you enjoy your life.
And boost consumption and demand.
Boost consumption.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
money
And
you
one
spend in
point
the
that-
market, it will go in the pocket of someone, and people will also come in the regime of tax.
Dr. Mitra, you have the floor.
You see, the word is that disposable income will go up.
That's right.
Once that goes up, it's good for the economy, right? The more money is in circulation.
So,
So
quick
say-
clarification on disposable income for our viewers.
Yeah.
Let's break
Disposable
down
income
things.
means, suppose you had an income of 100 rupees earlier and you paid tax of 20. So your disposable income was 80. Now for the 100 rupees income, suppose you pay tax of 15, then your disposable income is 85. So you have that much more money in your hands. And you can use this money to buy goods, right? So see, more money is in circulation in the
That's right.
system. So that's how it is.
That's right. Let's take another
By
question.
simple words, you
Yes,
can
sir.
see, I am earning a handsome amount. And if I don't spend it in 5-star hotel, so how the 5-star hotel will run? So if you are earning more, you have to spend more.
How new tax regime will help in ease of doing business in India?
Definitely, ease of doing business depends on the single window system. At the lesson you make this system transparent, more people friendly, more technical friendly, then definitely some other persons will come. Otherwise, in several sectors, if you see, most of the people don't file income tax return because they think it is so cumbersome and it is so difficult. But now in this regime, simply in new regime, anyone can opt it.
All right, Dr. Mitra, ease of doing business for your clients?
Certainly. I would like to
his
think
clients.
so, right? Because what's happening with this total digitization that is taking place across, it's enhancing the transparency. You can go, for example, take something like GST. It is, you see, it's doing well because, see, you have used technology and there's a greater amount of transparency involved. So, you see, in the new tax regime that they're talking about, they're saying in the old regime, you had about 70 deductions, 80C and all the other Chapter 6A deductions that you had. Now, they're saying that, can you reduce these deductions so that a person who is, doing business is very, he finds things very easy to understand. And, the tax payment does not become a very complicated issue. So I would like to think that this aspect of ease of business, doing business, is very much being laid stress on by the government of India. And the way the economy is going, in the future, I'm sure to see the effect of a positive budget will certainly show.
कई एक्सपर्ट्स का भी व्यू है कि अगली बार जीएसटी के स्लैब में भी बढ़ोतरी होगी, तो क्या हम ये मान लें कि एक तरफ तो सरकार रिलीफ के नाम पर बजट में 5 to 7 लाख का डेटा दे रही है और दूसरे स्लैब में वो इनडायरेक्ट वे में ही आम आदमी पे बोझ डाल रही है बजट?
Dr. Mitra, inflation takes away your savings.
आप ये जो बोल रहे हैं, मैं आपको हिंदी में जवाब देना चाहूँगा। ऐसा बात नहीं है। आरबीआई जो करता है, आरबीआई अपना इकोनॉमी, जनरल इकोनॉमी देख के करता है। तो ये जो सेविंग्स जो है, आपका जो सेविंग्स हो रहा है बिकॉज ऑफ द रिडक्शन इन द टैक्स रेट्स, डिस्पोजेबल इनकम बढ़ गया, तो मैं सोचता हूँ ये आपका इकोनॉमी के लिए अच्छा है। अभी आरबीआई जो देखता है, इट लुक्स एट द बिगर पिक्चर ये रिपो रेट का जो बात करना है 0.25%, इट लुक्स एट द बिगर पिक्चर दैट हाउ डज द पॉलिसी हेल्प द कंट्री टू ग्रो फर्दर। I don't think so that argument that madam is saying that the inflation is taking away the savings. I don't think so. I think the inflation, RBI is trying to check the inflation so that your savings does not really get hurt. That is the whole idea.
No, but he has a point when repo rate goes up.
Now,
But when repo rate is up, see, all interest rates of banks will up. Not only on the borrowing, but also on the savings. When you put your amount in fixed deposit, you will get more interest. So it is going up for all those things. Not only in one scenario, you can see it both ways. It will help in both ways. And as far as inflation is concerned, yes, for rupees, when we go to stop the rupee from going out, they increase slab rate from 5% to 20%
Right.
in this.
All right. Please go ahead.
Hello, sir. My name's Anugrah. My question is, how will the government recover the revenue foregone because of the changes made in the new tax regime?
I would like to think that the way the government is looking at it, the government is trying to have greater income from the activities that it is doing. You see, greater resources to be generated from the funding. For example, startups, madam was just now talking about. They have extended the benefit that has been given to startups, the income tax benefits. For startups, is registering up till 31st of March 2024. So they are trying to encourage MSME, they are trying to encourage these sectors to do well. Cooperatives, they are trying to encourage these sectors to do well so that additional funds can be generated. And then this deficit that you're talking about could be matched to a certain extent.
All right, let's take the last question on the show.
Hello, sir. This is Utkrishт, and I just wanted to ask you that how do you think that the budget is in line with the fiscal prudence and the inflation, keeping in mind the fiscal slippage? For example, if there is increase into the borrowings, then ultimately who is the burden bearer is the citizens, right? So what do you think that this budget explains or speaks the volume with parity with the fiscal prudence and the inflation?
I'll put this question to both the panelists. Please go ahead, Mr. Atrey.
We have to see like a family. At the one hand, we'll receive something. At the other hand, we have to spend something. And fiscal deficit, as it is clear from this word only, budget ghata, fiscal deficit. So when our revenue is less and expenses are more, then definitely it will deficit. But in this budget, if you see, we are reducing that deficit, that ratio. And expenditure is necessary for growth of a nation, for growth of a family. Like you don't want infrastructure to be increased, railway track to be increased, or our roads to be increased. When we increase our infrastructure, definitely more investment will come. If we are connected from Kashmir to Northeast, directly now Delhi to Mumbai Expressway is going to connect. On both the sides of these highways, people will come to invest. So definitely land will increase, investment will increase. When
So you're trying to
investment
say
will
that
increase,
fiscal deficit is under check.
yes, it is under check. Everything is being done to invite more investment. And
Dr.
when
Mitra?
investment will grow, income of the people will go.
Wanted to know that does this fiscal deficit that we are actually reducing it is in the line with the fiscal prudence and the inflation? Because if there is, as you are saying, that there would be a capital expenditure through the borrowing and there would be investment and all, but the interest rate will automatically would increase and that would keep the burden upon the citizen. So at that time, the things, the net consideration that the people are taking home would be quite less, I think.
I think
Dr.
we have
Mitra, your
answered.
point of disposable income.
Yeah, I have.
Disposable income.
Do you think that the fiscal deficit has gone haywire? It has not. It is, they are trying to, it has not gone haywire, right?
Let's listen to the panelists.
I know, you have a point of view. It has not gone haywire. The government, the Honorable Finance Minister is saying that we are trying to check this. She's concerned that this could have an impact on the economy, right? But let me tell you, it has not gone haywire. The government is trying to take positive steps to keep that under check, right? If you would have told me that the government is not at all bothered about the inflation, then I would have said that, you see, you have an argument. The government is not bothered about disposable income being matched by the inflation and so nothing happens. But I don't think so. I think that the way the budget has been presented, somebody said it's a positive and progressive budget. And I would tend to agree with this. The fiscal deficit, they are trying their best to control, right? That's how it is.
Right. All right. On that note, I'm
Certain
yes, sir.
figures on
Completely
deficit.
out of time, but yeah. So I'll give you the floor for 1 minute.
Fiscal deficit. In 21-22, it was 6.7% actual. 22-23, it was 6.4%. Budget estimate and revised was 6.4%, whereas it is reduced this time to 5.9%. Like revenue deficit, 21-22, it was 4.4%. Now it is 2.9%. In effective revenue deficit, it was 3.3%. Now it is 1.7%. Primary deficit, it was 3.3% in 21-22, and now it is 2.3%. At all levels, deficit is reducing. When deficit is reducing, it means our country is growing.
All right.
Incomes are increasing.
Yeah, so this is more for sustainable policies. As we've been talking about, that sub-Rishi elements and Amrit Kal budget,
Right.
paving the way for Amrit Kal. On that note, thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Mitra and Mr. Atrey.
Thank you.
Well, viewers, that's all we had for you in this edition. Thanks for watching and stay tuned to Sansad TV. Goodbye for now from my side.